Russia is making its true intentions clear, if they weren't clear enough already. While Trump is posting on social media about what he claims is an upcoming meeting between Zelensky and Putin, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov made it clear that there is no sit-down on the horizon, an idea being echoed across Russian state TV.
Я не представляю, как подобную картинку.
I can't even imagine commenting on a scene with Putin and Zelensky on the screen, side by side. It doesn't matter who else is there. These two people can't be on the same screen because this is a great president of a great country who is fighting for humanitarian values, who is trying to save the planet, versus the emissary of Western intelligence agencies, a nobody who would obtain a lifetime of legitimacy after this meeting.
Yes, he is saying that Putin is trying to save the planet. Out front now, longtime Putin critic Bill Browder. He was once Russia's largest foreign investor. He's since been declared a national security threat by Russia. It's good to see you again. Does Putin have any intention of meeting with President Zelensky at any point, do you think?
Absolutely not. Putin never had any intention. I don't know where this idea came from that there would be a bilateral meeting between Putin and Zelensky. Putin has made it clear since the very beginning that he doesn't consider Ukraine to be a legitimate country, and he doesn't consider Zelensky to be the head of this what he thinks is illegitimate country. And so the idea that he would have a sit down with Zelensky just makes no sense. And it's been very clear before. He's been very transparent, and within moments after this summit in Alaska, the Sergei Lavrov, the foreign minister, and many others have made it absolutely clear there's not going to be a meeting between these two heads of state.
Which is why the focus on the meeting, either with Trump involved or without Trump involved, the focus on it is so honestly surprising because the White House continues to say that Putin promised to hold a meeting with Zelensky. Do you think that President Trump is trying to wish it or will this thing to happen? Or does he just have a fundamental misunderstanding of what Putin is actually doing here, which by all accounts is just buying more time in his war?
You know, I can't even begin to speculate on what Trump's motivations are, but what I can say very clearly are what Putin's motivations are. Putin was faced with, he's got two objectives. One is he wants to continue this war. He thinks he's winning this war, and he has no intention of settling this war in any kind of compromise at all. He wants total victory. And his second motivation was that he did not want Trump to impose crippling oil sanctions, which had been threatened prior to the meeting in Alaska. And God knows what happened in this meeting where these two heads of state sat down, but somehow Putin was able to walk away without a ceasefire being demanded of him and without crippling oil sanctions. And so Putin has accomplished his objectives. And it's sort of bewildering why President Trump continues to give him a free pass. Trump has given him six free passes. He's made 6 ultimatums. Putin has not delivered in each of those times, and there has not been any consequences. And that's where we stand today. And I would hope that when it becomes crystal clear, which it is to me and starting to become clear to many others, that Putin is not going to negotiate in any way, shape, or form, I would hope that the Trump and U.S. administration will impose those sanctions, because that's what Putin deserves at this point.
The Russian foreign minister also said today about the Ukraine summit in Washington this week. He said, here's the quote, "We did not hear any constructive ideas from the Europeans there." But just yesterday, the White House put out a statement with big font, bold headline that said President Trump's peace summit hailed as a game changer. I mean, what would actually be a game changer at this point to bring Vladimir Putin to the table when you know he doesn't want to?
Well, Vladimir Putin is a murderer. He's a thug. He's a mafia boss. And the only thing that's going to make him negotiate is if he's forced to negotiate. And what will force him to negotiate is if he's in a militarily weak position. And to get there, we need to give the Ukrainians much more military aid. And the second thing that will get Putin to the table is if he's in an economically desperate situation. And to do that, we need to impose these sanctions on his export of oil. And it's all been pretty much discussed, pre-cooked. Trump was even threatening it in the days leading up to this Anchorage summit. And then it all just went quiet. And so we need to basically come back to square one and say, okay, if you're not going to do it willingly, Vladimir Putin, then you have to do it unwillingly, and we're going to make it happen in that way.
And the thing about that is what you hear from the White House, and you heard it from Trump and those around him, is the threat of sanctions they believe will push Putin further away from negotiating rather than towards negotiating, which seems to be the exact opposite of what everyone else around believes is the only path forward with Vladimir Putin, which is why I just continue to scratch my head about the approach.
Well, it's hard to understand. President Trump is extremely tough in other situations with trade with China, with bombing the Iranian nuclear facilities. But for some reason, and it doesn't make any sense that he's just tiptoeing around Vladimir Putin. And it's obvious to everybody that Vladimir Putin only responds to a boot on the throat. He does not respond to people trying to kiss up to him. There's no such thing as appeasement with a dictator, and certainly not with Vladimir Putin. And so what he needs is somebody tough to say, okay, if you're not willing to negotiate, then we're going to make you negotiate. And there's no explanation for trying to be nice to him to get him to the table.